Yo, what is good, YouTube? It's your boy Leach back here with another reaction video. Make sure y'all hit that sub button, turn them noties on it. Make sure y'all follow the socials on the screen. Be much appreciated. I give thanks to the man above for another day. God bless. I love y'all, man. And yeah, let's get right into it. As y'all can see, Dante Moore is returning to the Oregon Ducks in 2026 and will not go to the NFL draft.
College and pro football today as Dante Moore decides to return
So that
to
means
Oregon
Raiola
for next season.
is the best
Many
backup
had
in America,
assumed
bro.
that he was going to go into the NFL draft.
Make sure y'all
where
go check
he
that video out
was
before you watch
the number
this
2
one.
projected
Raiola
pick
committed
to
to
the
Oregon.
New York Jets. They
Anticipating Dante Moore was going to the draft, but
Nebraska
he
quarterback
is not
Dylan
going to the
Raiola,
draft now.
but Moore is now
the only
going to be available for the Jets at 2 as he announces this afternoon that he is going to
The only thing I can think of, bro, is why Dante
Eugene.
Moore did
So
not go to the draft was
Raiders
because
need
of
a
how
quarterback.
Oregon season
We
ended,
assume
bro.
they're going to take Mendoza number 1. We assume
Indiana
the Jets would take
absolutely
Moore number
steamrolled
2,
the
but
Ducks, bro.
he's not available now as we welcome in Ryan Wilson. And for the college side of this, Shahan Jayaraj.
I'm gonna pause it real quick. Yeah, that makes it real hard for the New York Jets now to really draft, because you know they want a quarterback. I mean, Mendoza's going 1. I don't care what anyone says, bro. He's legit gonna be the number 1 pick to the Raiders, which is pretty obvious. They need a franchise quarterback. But yeah, this definitely sucks for the New York Jets. Be curious to see who they get now.
Get to you in just a second, but Ryan, I have to imagine that a lot of Jets fans right now are saying, now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening. Good to see you, Shahan. Good to see you, Hassel. And this is worst case scenario because we're now looking at a draft class with the quarterback position where you have one surefire thing of Fernando Mendoza and everything else is wide open. Dante Moore's returning to school. You have Ty Simpson, who's declared for the draft. Is he a top 5 pick? Not as we sit
Ty
here.
Simpson's
We're still
definitely
waiting to
not a
hear from
top
John
5
Mateer.
He's
He is
good,
not a
but he ain't
first-round
no
pick,
top 5,
mostly
bro.
because of the injury he suffered halfway through that season.
But you never know. You never know. Maybe Ty Simpson goes number 2 to the Jets. I mean, you never know.
On the draft board, Chris, and you get to Carson Beck, who has refound his game at the University of Miami, but he is no longer in the first-round conversation right now. Desperate times call for desperate measures. The Jets do have 2 first-round picks. That second overall pick, which was going to be pegged for Dante Moore. Now they pick 16th as well as part of the trade with the Coastal Sauce Gardner.
Get to run it back with Dante. Plus, you got to back him in Raiola, so there's going to be a QB battle there.
We've seen teams like the Texans in 2023 draft C.J. Stroud and turn it around. The Commanders in 24 with Jaden Daniels. The Patriots last year with Drake May, and this year they're one of the best teams in the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback, you can't win football games. And now the Jets are back to square one,
Dante
and they
Moore.
have a lot of things to figure out.
He heard Jets. He's
in
like,
99 days
I'm coming
when the
back
actual
to
draft
Oregon.
takes place.
And Shahan, for the Oregon Ducks, they now have an embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position. Riches might be the word there for all the money they're spending on this quarterback room. But when they went out and they got Dylan Raiola, even though he said, I'm coming regardless of whether or not Dante Moore goes to the NFL draft, do you start to second guess that now that it's official?
I would think so.
I don't. When you look at Oregon the past couple of years, they have been very sort of long-range looking whenever they've come to that quarterback position. In fact, if you go back 2 years ago, Dante Moore was the 5-star player coming to back up Dylan Gabriel. He waits his turn. He obviously has a lot of success. He's coming back for another year. I think that Dylan Raiola sees the opportunity to do the same thing. This is an Oregon program that's done a tremendous job at the quarterback position over the past couple of years. Now, I will point out they lost offensive coordinator Will Stein to be the head coach at Kentucky, but Drew Maringer is an internal promotion. He's been an offensive passing game coordinator before.
So
I think that he's still going to do a good job with that room. So I still think that Dylan Raiola is going to ride the bench for 1 year and be even more prepared in 2027 when his moment does come. All
right, Ryan, we talked about kind of a gap now between Mendoza and all of the other quarterback prospects. Ty Simpson did, by the way, today say he's going to go to the NFL draft. So how far down do we go now? You have Ty Simpson as a day 1 quarterback. I would imagine now he's your QB2. But could we see a situation like we just saw this past draft where we have a quarterback go number 1 overall and then nobody goes until late in the first round and somebody may trade back in to pick up QB2?
A very realistic possibility, Chris. And as we sit here, these are the teams that need quarterbacks. The Raiders, the Jets, the Cardinals potentially, the Browns, the Miami Dolphins potentially, the Rams have a couple first-round picks, and if they want to plan for life after Matthew Stafford, and, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But here's the thing, and you talked about it with Jackson Dart last year, when I thought he was a second-round talent. The Giants traded up to the back of the first round to get him, and he had a really good rookie season. Teams are going to have to now go back and do more homework on Ty Simpson as we get through this pre-draft process, because here's the difference between Ty Simpson and Jackson Dart. One of the differences. He's only started 15 games. And when you look at the list of quarterbacks drafted in the first round since 2010 who have started 15 or fewer college games, Mitch Trubisky, Dwayne Haskins, Anthony Richardson, and then you have Cam Newton, but he had played a whole entire season the year before in junior college. So that is not a glowing list of guys who can come in right away and be day one starters and be successful. Teams have to figure that out. One of the things that I think that Ty has going
Jets
for
fans
him,
out there,
he's
bro,
an
I feel for y'all, bro.
really good processor of what's happening pre and post snap. Insanely accurate on short and intermediate
Dante Moore
passes.
could have been your franchise guy, but now he's going back to
historically
Oregon.
low level this season. But
like I said, I feel like a big part of that is just how their season ended.
And if NFL teams are okay with that, and perhaps during the pre-draft process,
Dante Moore's kind of risking it, though. That 2027 QB draft class is going to be really good.
He will find his way into the first round. And then the question becomes, do the Jets not take him at 2, for example, but maybe at 16 with their second first-round pick, target someone like Ty Simpson?
And you wonder what that price tag was for Oregon to keep Dante Moore in the program and also bring in Dylan Raiola from Nebraska. It's clearly a new era in college football, but
at least Raiola will get to learn from Dante
season,
Moore.
And we just saw Ryan's layout there and kind of the siloed day 1, day 2, day 3 quarterbacks. And on day 3, you saw 3 quarterbacks who came back for another year of college. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, or a risk reward, I guess is the better way to put it. You come back to college, you make more money, but we saw Nussmeier slide, we saw Aller slide, we saw Cade Klubnik slide. So how are these guys trying to weigh that out when they try to decide whether or not to go?
Well, it's fascinating, I think, because Ryan alluded to it, right? When you talk about players who have started fewer than 15 games and ended up as first-round picks, the track record is not very good. And quarterbacks know this. They want to get multiple years in their programs.
I'm confused on why Ty Simpson
And I think that they also see this wave of players coming into the NFL right now who are having success, who might have even done it at multiple schools. So the other part of this as well is that with the money available in college, you're not rushing to the NFL the same way that you were before. And so when you think of a player like Dante Moore getting to be in a similar situation, getting to improve, this is a big opportunity for him to rehab his stock. But you allude to it. Drew Aller, a player at Penn State who was mocked by many as a first-round pick, comes back, suffers a season-ending injury. He's going to be day 3 or undrafted range. You talk, of course, about some of the other guys who came back last year. Garrett Nussmeier.
But to be honest, I don't even think Drew Aller was that good.
Now he's in the 3rd round after suffering some injuries. So the downside is certainly there if you're a college quarterback, but you know, again, the downside is also there if you've started fewer than 15 games. You're going to have to find a balance that makes sense for you to put yourself in a position, in a good position, both short-term and long-term, and it's really more of an art than it is a science.
Ryan, how are scouts viewing those guys that you see as day 3 guys in this year's draft who came back for another year of college?
Drew Aller is the guy that you build in the lab. He just never put it together. And the feedback you got from Drew Aller both last season and this season before the injury is that he just played too robotic at times, and he didn't go out there and just sling it around the yard, and not to the point where you're turning the ball over, but playing a little more free than what we saw at times. It felt like he was stressing and trying to make every single play perfect. When you talk about Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, and I wrote about this back in September, they're both 6'1" or shorter. And the question I had at the time when I talked to folks around the league was, can you be successful as an NFL quarterback at that height? And the feedback I got was, it's not the height, it's the consistency that these guys have yet to play with. So you could be a Baker Mayfield and go out there and play at a high level, be the first overall pick, and then sort of rediscover yourself when you land in Tampa Bay, for example. But the way that the season unfolded the last 2 years for Garrett Nussmeier,
besides obviously Mendoza,
and this year, of course, and then this season for Cade Klubnik, gave a lot of teams pause in terms of whether that looks like a franchise quarterback at the next level.
Everyone else,
matters more than anything else. But they did not put enough good stuff on tape to merit being first-round picks right now.
But they're out of eligibility, so they're in the 26 draft. Moore is going to be in the 27 draft. And if you look ahead to that right now, where would you put him on your quarterback big board?
See what I'm saying?
You don't want to go to 2028 or 2029, Chris? We want to go
yet.
1 year ahead. Yeah, so Dante Moore's QB1 for me. And here's the thing, and you'll get pushback about Arch Manning. If we're all honest with ourselves, if his name was Arch
Too
Wilson,
early
for example,
2027 QB
he would
ranks,
not be in the
he
first
think
overall
Dante
pick
Moore
conversation. His
#1?
pedigree speaks for
I don't know
itself.
about that,
Dante
bro.
Moore will have played probably 25 games, which is a sweet spot of what you want for your quarterbacks coming out as first-round picks. I love Jaden Mayava. I may be hiring him in
11
I know some
LSU,
NFL teams
Swordsby
had
at
a
Texas
day
Tech.
too great on him. I thought he played really well this season
obviously,
before deciding to come
Lenore
back.
Sellers,
And
the
that
reason
put
he
Arch
came back
number
was 'cause
3
he had
right
such a
now. He got
horrible
better as the
season this
season
year.
went on.
But I
But
expected
the
him to
first
bounce
half of the
back.
season tape at Texas
I
was hard
expect
to
Sain
watch
to
if
be
we're
in
being
that
honest with ourselves. Julian Sain's on that
2-1
list. We know how well
conversation.
he played down the stretch or for the season until that last game for Ohio State. Lenore Sellers came back to school to prove himself. Then you have Brendan Swordsby, who was transferred to Indiana to be that next guy. Texas Tech to be that next guy. Josh Hooper will be at Indiana. So we have a lot of names to watch.
You got Josh
I'll
Hooper
say it, Chris.
too,
I say it every year
bro.
this time.
Underrated.
Next year looks like a deep quarterback class.
Yeah,
We shall see together if it actually is.
Shahan, look at those guys from a college perspective. Who would you want most next year leading your team?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, this is as good a quarterback year as we've had in a little bit in college football, I would make the case. I mean, obviously, Julian Sain had a great year. I think that Arch Manning, the way that he ended the season was really big. Dante Moore, when he was able to play in structure, was a really, really good player. I am going to go with Arch Manning, though. I think that what he showed in the second half of the year as a playmaker was really, really big for that team. I think that he has a chance to be pretty special. And again, he as a college player, I think especially gives it to you both as a passer and also as a runner.
All right, Shahan J. and Ryan Wilson with us as Dante Moore decides to come back to Oregon for another year and stay in that quarterback room that now includes Nebraska transfer, Oregon. For another,
but that's going to do it for this reaction. Dante Moore returns to the Oregon Ducks for the 2026 season, and he's not going to the draft till 2027. So Dante Moore looking to get his lick back next year. Oregon's going to be really good again next year. But the reason I think he returned was because of how they went out in the playoffs. I mean, they went out sad, bro. I mean, that was just really bad. But give credit to Indiana. Yeah, now Raiola's going to have to sit behind Moore for this year unless, he beats him out, but it's probably not going to happen. But, Oregon's going to have the best, QB room in the country. So I guess you have that. But, yeah, them Jets fans, bro, are definitely punching the wall right now. But, yeah, make sure y'all follow the socials on screen. I love you all about. Peace.